Now let's understand back principal plane or BPP, which is a very important concept in optics. Let's say I have a complicated lens or optical system. So what is the plane if I wanna replace this whole optical system with a thin lens? How can I do that? Or I can paraphrase the question in a different way. Can I find a thin lens that I can replace this optical system? Now let's think about it. The rays coming from infinity. First, we need to find the effective focal length of this system. The rays are coming from infinity, and then they converge at one point. So we draw another line. At the point that they cross each other, we can draw a surface or a line or a plane, and the distance from that surface to the focal points is effective focal length of this optical system. So right now I have my effective focal length. If I don't have this lens, in my mind I can say the rays are coming from infinity, then converge to a point, and trace another rays that comes from infinity and converge to a point, or this rays coming from infinity and converge to a point. So I can say, instead of this full optical system, the question is that can I replace it with a single lens? Based on the image that we can see, the answer is yes. So instead of this full optical system, we can just put a thin lens, but the thin lens should be at the plane that we call it the principal plane, or in this case is the back principal plane, because we are talking about the imaging side of this complicated optical system. So the answer is yes, we can put a thin lens, but we need to put it at the back principal plane. Now let's look at another example. So this plane we call it back principal plane, and this plane we call it back focal plane. So the focal plane and principal plane that can replace the very complicated optical system that we have. And the point we show it by f prime, the focal point, because it is on the image side. We use f prime for all the parameters that we have. Now let's look at another example. We have a thick lens, rays are coming from infinity and go to the focus. So first we need to understand the effective focal length of this lens. Rays coming from infinity, we draw the line parallel to those, and they converge to a point, draw another line. So those are the rays that are coming from infinity, the rays that converge to a point. So at the point that they cross each other, have a plane, and this is the back principal plane of this optical system. So instead of this complicated lens, we can put a thin lens with the effective focal length, this distance that we can find it, and this point is f prime, this point, that this is the last surface of this lens. This is also important for us that we use vertex or v prime, and this point we use p prime, which is the principal plane that we have for this side of the lens, for the imaging side. So we have p and p prime, v prime, f prime, and n prime. So everything related to the imaging side, we use prime. So these 2 points, first principal point, this is the back principal point, focal points, and vertex, those are very important for us. So the definition of the principal plane or back principal plane is that instead of this full thick optical system, they can put a thin lens at that plane that can be the representative of this full optical system.